Let me ask you a hard question. You're a guy that you've built up so much goodwill, especially before COVID. And at the beginning of COVID, you were just, I think, doing your due diligence. You were saying, hey, trust the science, trust the science. And then shortly, very quickly, I have to give you your kudos. You changed the narrative and you switched real quick. What did that cost you, though, speaking out, considering you are the top TV doctor? Can you tell us the repercussions of you speaking out against the mainstream when it came to the COVID protocols?
It's hard to tell. So at first, I was trying to get everybody to calm down. I was just like, I could see the panic, the delusionality. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And what I kept saying was the two things I kind of got wrong. One thing I said was, hey, we just went through an H1N1 epidemic that killed 300,000 people, and you didn't even know that happened. Do we have to now go all the way because of this one to closing everything down? It didn't make sense to me that we had a serious outbreak during the Obama administration, and now we're going to shut the world down for one that may be worse, but how much worse? And what is this shutdown going to do? And it's the opposite of our pandemic preparedness plan. I knew what was in that plan, and we were doing none of it. So I was like, something is really, really wrong. And then I said the thing. So people said around videos of me saying these things they made me look as bad as possible. And they left out the part I tagged on to every single time I made a comment. And it's the part I really got wrong. I said, just listen to the CDC, listen to Dr. Fauci. I know these guys. Let Fauci be your North Star. He'll get us through this. I said that every single time. And that's the thing I got the most wrong.
But to be fair, Fauci was the longest tenured government employee, and he was considered highly respectable and reliable.
I was very active in the AIDS pandemic. I treated hundreds, maybe thousands of AIDS patients. RFK, I know, has very different feelings about this, but he was extremely helpful for me as a practitioner working on AIDS patients. He was a good North Star 35 years ago. Now, didn't work out that way.
Wow. Well, it's crazy to think that you were actually dealing with him during that AIDS epidemic because, they were using that meme a lot, that there were, he did get a lot of heat back then. So, they kind of created the narrative, the conspiracy theorist of me was like, oh, well, he was bad during AIDS. Hearing you say that he was actually pretty good during AIDS, it kind of changed my opinion a little bit. What did he do?
I was there when we opened the first boxes of AZT in LA County. But
wasn't AZT bad? Wasn't that just a backorder drug? Wasn't that not good, Dr. Drew? Or am I too big of a conspiracy theorist?
Let me tell you what it was actually like practicing with AIDS patients. We had nothing. Yeah. We had nothing to offer. All I could do, I was a fourth-year medical student, and every day I was sitting down with a young man and telling him he had 6 months to live. And there was nothing I could do about it. Nothing. Then we had AZT. Now we could extend their life 3 months or 6 months, maybe, while we worked on getting other antivirals together. We could just push it back a little bit. Yes, AZT, when taken excessively, it suppresses the bone marrow. We knew it. It was not a great drug, but it was something. We could do something for these patients. It's the reason we sent people to Dallas Buyers Clubs is because they were doing something, making people feel good. Those same Dallas Buyers Clubs were the ones that were getting in the way of us treating the patients once we had antivirals. People didn't tell that story in the movie.
No, and it kind of makes sense when you're kind of doing fake doctor stuff like that. Obviously, once the real medicine comes into place, nobody's going to trust it. So I can see why that is bad, why they try to, create that narrative you shouldn't do your own research. But I think people should do their own research. Now, okay, but this is what makes me so frustrated, Dr. Drew. I got to talk about a personal thing. You don't know me that well. You probably don't know me at all. But this is what is so frustrating about COVID is that you just said this, we've had SARS, sudden acute respiratory syndrome. We've had MERS, Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. So this isn't the first time that we've had a very serious respiratory illness that has been like this. So for me, when they locked us down, my mom got COVID, Dr. Drew, and we said that we didn't want her to be intubated. And what they did is they made us sign a DNR. They gave her remdesivir. My mom died less than 7 days later in my arms. Her lungs filled up with fluid. But my point is, when those doctors, and even though I could be mad at the doctors, I know the doctors didn't care, but I am not a conspiracy theorist when I say this. They wanted more people to die from this because it would make their narrative more true that this was a deadly thing and that there wasn't a 99% survival rate. So I know you're going to say, oh no, but I purposely believe that they were giving remdesivir knowing that remdesivir was not a good remedy for this. And then my mom died in my arms. She went from talking to me, and then 5 days later, She can't even breathe. Is has not a CPAP but a BiPAP, whatever it is, not the intubation, the BiPAP machine, and it was like that. And they gave her a drug that I told them not to give her. So I've lost a lot of faith in the medical community, and especially when it came to COVID. I mean, I'm very frustrated.
You should have lost faith. The public health proved itself to be a catastrophe. What happened to my peers, I can't even believe it. The idea of telling somebody to go home and come back when they're blue, I can't even believe the lack of caretaking. The fact that they all responded to centralized authority rather than their ultimate sacred responsibility of just taking care of the person in front of them. It's still an astonishing thing. I talked to Jordan Vaughn just a couple hours ago, and he said he talked to one of his elder teachers, the guy, and he went to me, what do you think about the vaccine? I'm not a vaccinologist. Like, what? It was, since when do our on high professors not try to figure things out and just respond to the political winds that are blowing? It's astonishing. It's disgusting. It's terrible. Now, the doctors that I knew that used remdesivir certainly meant no harm. But they were, I think what you're feeling is, what they were, however, was swept into this political wind where you just followed authority. And
yes, but Dr. Drew, I want to tell you, I'm just sorry to cut you off, but I'm saying when my mom died, those doctors acted like they were sad, but I'm just telling you, they treated it like, oh, I told you so. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I'm telling you, I don't care what they said. I felt it. Just when palliative care, they're kind of like, oh, this is serious. People are dying. Like it just reinforced everything, and it just didn't seem like they even wanted to save my mom. And I'm not saying that they killed my mom, even that's how I personally feel. I'm just, I just can't believe that we're gonna, and this is gonna happen again, Dr. Drew. You know this. So we got a drug epidemic. Now that we got a flu epidemic, our food's making us sick. How do we even? Is life expectancy? Are we gonna make it to 60 in the next 20 years? I mean, is Gen Z? Are they gonna make it to 60 and 70 years old, Dr. Drew?
Yeah, it is gravely concerning. And I've been a supporter of RFK Jr. all the way along. I like that we're shaking things up. The fact that Jay Bhattacharya is the head of the NIH is nothing short of poetic to me. The fact that that's the guy they decided to do a devastating takedown upon tells you everything you need to know about the excesses of what happened during that pandemic and the extremely distorted authorities that were afoot, and how malicious, and if you want to call them evil and all these things, I don't have a lot of good evidence to the contrary. I don't believe people were actively intending anybody harm, but they got so deep in their groupthink and in their the political winds that blew that they couldn't think objectively. And for the most part, people became what I would call delusional. Mass formation is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I watched it in real time, and it was a shocking experience. I thought we finished that in the 20th century. Evidently not. It's a feature of the human experience, and we need to guard against it at all times. And it's still underway. It hasn't all the way settled down yet.
No, it hasn't. And I'm just, it's crazy to think, though, that we were all brainwashed. And we trusted the science, and the science really didn't have our back.
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself.